All right, everybody. I don't know how much of this we're going to be able to watch, how much we have time for, but Ethan, how familiar are you with Destiny?
Fairly. I was never a viewer, but I know of him and what he does.
How about Alex Jones?
Well, Jones and I, we go back.
No. So Alex Jones, as you guys know, is basically like deplatformed from everything and has been massively sued to the ground due to his straight up lying and defamation of the families that and the children that were impacted by the Sandy Hook shooting. Basically, he said that it was a fake shooting, it was made up, and that all the kids were crisis actors, and that all the parents of the dead kids were crisis actors, which led to his audience sending massive amounts of death threats and hatred towards the families of the dead children from the mass shooting. He did this, of course, to protect against the rising anti-gun sort of sentiment that was rising after that shooting.
Didn't he end up owing like nearly $1 billion?
It was like a lot of money, but I don't think it was $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
$1 billion's a lot. It was a lot, but I don't think it was $1 billion. Anyway, Alex Jones is now basically like down to nothing, I think, financially, but he's still quite big, so he's probably not going to be impacted by it like seriously, like to the extent that he's like begging for cash on the side of the street. But that said, there is this big event called Minds where they basically bring out a bunch of figures to do debates and talk about their ideas. They're mostly online figures, which by default means like 90% of them are conservatives, but they also bring in the lefties they can find. And one of those lefties was Destiny. And on the same panel, they brought in the one and only Alex Jones.
Oh boy.
The Destiny versus Alex Jones debate is real.
Were they aware this was going to happen beforehand?
I think so.
Fuck.
So, I have not seen this. I have no idea what to expect. I've just seen the clip on Twitter.
Who all's up there with him? Holy shit.
I don't recognize these people. Does anybody know who these people are? The people next to Destiny?
Isn't Alex Jones a chaser?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Is that Milo?
Oh yeah, is this Milo Yiannopoulos to his right?
Moonlord Milo.
I think that's Moonlord with Tim Pool.
Yeah.
That isn't Milo.
This guy looks like someone off Tim Pool's show.
Maybe they're supposed to be the progressive ones, maybe.
Milo doesn't seem to be at the table. Okay.
That is Moonlord? That does look like Moon.
Okay.
Alright.
The election, then they delete the story of the New York Post. So how is that
ready for
not
this?
a company acting on behalf of the government?
I think this is the guy who did the Twitter Files thing, I think. This guy here with the microphone. I may be wrong, but I think this is the Twitter Files guy.
To violate the First Amendment of a journalist. How is that not the case?
Because Twitter never said that they deleted that post because of the government.
And you believe them?
I just want to clarify. Hold on.
You're reporting from the Twitter files. What are you citing?
Let's stop screaming. Let's try to understand each other and because we're getting a little bit crazy. We're getting a little
real quick, just so we're on the same page.
Let's get a little civil.
How many people up here actually read the actual tweets, not just the headline?
Thank you, Matt Taibbi.
Okay, so we've got two people.
Okay, but we got a special guest joining us.
Alex Jones is an awesome.
But I just.
I had the chance for doing one of the funniest things you can do online, and I didn't get it.
Alex Jones lives in Texas.
Wait, he lives in Texas?
I think he lives in Austin.
I thought he lived in Mexico. No.
lives
I'm
in
thinking
Texas.
Ethan Ralph. Ethan Ralph doesn't live in Mexico.
Ralph lives in Mexico?
No, Ethan Ralph had to like flee the country, I think. And he's with his baby mama who fucking hates him and he hates. And he
Dude,
also got,
Ethan
got,
Ralph
put
is
him, like
like
the no-fly list and shit.
Dude, Ethan Ralph has been on my death pool for a while. Okay, do we want to make an actual death pool?
No, I don't think we
like
can do that.
For like not on stream, but like off stream, do you want to make an actual death pool for like Ethan Ralph?
Maybe, yeah.
Cuz I feel I'm willing to put some money down on like in the next 2 years. Actually no, it has to be by the end of the year, right?
I think he's going to live a minute. I think
he'll make it to the end of the year, but I mean next year.
A death pool is like gambling when a person dies. It's usually done with like gladiators and shit.
Yeah, so basically the idea is that like if you and your friends would like decide of a bunch of celebrities, who do you think is going to die first and put money on it?
I want to asking a question.
Steven requested
They told
that we
me-
had Alex on tonight, so I thought.
They told me to get here at 8 o'clock. I didn't even like go on stage at 8. So I'm only 30 seconds late. Sorry.
Alex, do you think that what was the exact question? Do you think that there's things that should be censored online, Alex? I guess, how do you want to ask it, Steven? How would you?
What do you think Alex Jones is going to say to that question? Is there anything that should be censored online?
You ask Alex this, where we're at right now.
I'm not even sure what I would ask Alex right now.
I would just go back to 5 years ago where violent threats, specifically calling for violence, which is illegal already, and child porn and stuff like that, and people's hacked personal information. Those things are illegal. Things that are illegal, not our free speech. It's really simple.
Do you think that there are things where it's like it's legal?
Hey, that's actually the one area where free speech applies, no? Like, listen, I don't think child porn or anything like that should be legal. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. What I am saying, though, is I'm surprised that that was the defense he went with. I'm surprised he wasn't upset by that. I thought he would go down the route of, like, we can't, like legality and speech are meant to be separated.
That's just the
like
standard conservative argument.
Really?
What he's arguing against right now is the concept of platforms having the right to have their own TOS.
Okay.
Like, he thinks that platforms
I
like
guess I'm
YouTube
not-
shouldn't have the right to make a TOS that bans or restricts anything that isn't illegal.
I guess I'm not too aware of actually how the rights view on like terms of services and whatnot.
They
and
think
their
terms of
view on
service
free
is
speech.
censorship. Like,
They
if-
think terms of service.
They think that, like, if you get banned from a website for saying the N-word, then
Well,
that's
I know
anti-freedom
about
of
that, but I
speech.
actually don't know how that melds with their views and like making speech illegal and whatnot. Because him saying that any
Oh,
speech
well, conservatives think that, like, burning the American flag for protest should be illegal.
Yeah.
They don't actually care about freedom of speech. They care
It's
about
a-
their unpopular speech being permissible.
it's just weirdly, what's the word I'm looking for?
Hypocritical.
Not hypocritical. It's whenever you deviate from your morals, but not specifically like go back on them. Inconsistent.
Inconsistent.
Yeah,
for
sorry.
sure, yeah.
Legal but unethical that should be pulled down?
No, I mean, I think it should be the Wild Wild West. That's what America and freedom is. And once you open the Pandora's box, everybody is going to say this is evil. Another group's going to say that's evil. Conservatives are going to say ban this. Liberals are going to say ban that. This group's going to say ban this. And then it's special interest banning what they don't like. No, that's not what I want. I'm a big enough adult that I want to see everything. People say, well, then don't let the kids see it. Ban TikTok. No, don't let your kids on TikTok be their parent.
I don't agree with what he said here principally, but also this is a guy who's actively just been sued for defaming a bunch of children, lying about like their like Alex Jones. No matter how reasonable anything he says is, we know why he's saying the reasonable thing is to service his like nefarious agenda that has literally been proven in court and has cost him millions. And he went after children. He went after dead children and their families. There's really no worse, like no more evil than you can get than that. And people still find an excuse, still find a reason to make excuses for this guy. Like, Alex Jones is fundamentally irredeemable. As far as like, how many people do you know that have a platform and a following and are popular who have gone out of their way to attack children who were murdered and almost murdered by a mass shooter, and were determined to be guilty of this in court?
Alex Jones is true libertarian.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. Don't tread on me, brother.
What is your, okay, so I'm curious, what is your enforcement mechanism? You want to go to Twitter and you want to say you're not allowed to deplatform certain speech or
Bro, you know shit's about to get real when Destiny says he's curious.
ban certain actors. What do you want to do to keep them from doing that? Do you want to make it illegal for you to ban people that you disagree with, that do hate speech? Like, what does the enforcement mechanism look like there?
Well, hate speech is really just a modern corporate name. I mean, when the media, when U.S. senators call for nuclear war with Russia,
hate speech is a modern corporate name. So conservatives like grift so far, like for a while now, has been pushing the idea that it is actually corporations that have been pushing like progressive values into our society, and not like activists who've normalized it to the extent that corporations recognize that it is now the most profitable perspective to take as a company, and so they're doing what most improves their bottom line. You see, the left-wing perspective makes sense. Really radical progressive activists have pushed our society further left-leaning, thus making it so the Overton window is more and more left-leaning as time goes by. Corporations, whose bottom line is and will always be to make as much money as possible, recognize the turning directions and the turning tides of society and start tailoring their marketing accordingly. Does this not... What sounds more realistic, that or the conspiracy theory about pushing wokeness, corporate wokeness, socialist companies, these conservatives make up?
I haven't heard of entirely what he's going to say, but I think it'll be really fucking funny if he actually immediately deflected that question with saying, well, I don't like the term, what fucking term was it? I'm sorry, I'm tired. Well, I don't like the term, what were we just fucking discussing? I'm so sorry.
I don't like the term hate speech.
Hate speech, yeah, he doesn't like the term hate speech. I wonder if he actually addressed this question, so we should play.
To me, that's hate speech. But they still have a right to say that and be crazy people calling for World War III. So one person's hate speech is somebody else's love speech. So as long as somebody isn't saying, go shoot this up or go attack this group, let the KKK, who are a bunch of idiots, or let the new Black Panther Party, they're basically a black KKK group,
Oh my fucking god. The only time you'll ever hear a fucking conservative concede that a hateful group is hateful is if they need to draw a comparison to a progressive group to that group.
Mm-hmm.
And a very good example is this is gonna be funny and Zoomer's shit to say, but like a while back, Notch was asked, "Can you just say Nazis are bad?"
Yeah,
and he ends up saying Nazis are bad and so are communists. The only time a conservative will ever concede that a hateful group is bad is
to call out something that's seen as progressive, right? And the funny thing is, as Apillo is mentioning, the new Black Panther Party is insane.
Is it?
Here's the thing, though. The only reason why Alex Jones considers the new Black Panther Party bad and insane is because Alex Jones sees black people, like, inherently as a left-wing thing. He sees, like, black people having rights and, like, existing or whatever and being empowered as a monolithic left-wing thing, as like woke period. And so even though like I as a progressive see the new Black Panther Party and I'm like, literally black separatist Nazi
I was
types.
gonna ask, are they black separatists?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He sees them and he's like, woke black people, being empowered or whatever. Like he sees all as a monolith, all as one big block, right?
Let them sound like idiots off in their own little echo chamber. We know what they're saying. We know what they're doing. We're watching them in case they're about to get violent. Everybody knows in all the studies, you suppress speech, it puts stuff underground. You want the old American idea that was really the vanguard, that was the Renaissance. We call it old now, but really it's the new thinking that we forgot about and went back to the old thinking of tyranny, is to let everything out there and believe in the public to choose what makes sense. And
dude, people used to believe the most batshit things before there was standardized education. And what are you talking about? You want to go back to when, like, okay, this idea that the truth will always, like, float to the surface and the truth will always win out is objectively untrue, okay? Like, Alex Jones is literally the guy who just got sued for pushing lies, provable lies, that he was legally proven to be a liar about the most evil, disgusting shit that you could possibly do about dead children. And he's talking about how the truth will always rise to the surface while having, no doubt, millions of people that pay for his dog shit, grifty, what are they called? Like, vitamin supplements. They're supposed to be like brain force pills or whatever they're called.
In that world, whether it's the new Black Panther Party or the KKK, we're going to reject those idiots and we're going to embrace a civilization.
And you radicalize. You do radicalize more people by censoring speech. And you
Alex Jones defamed the judge while on trial. I forgot about that.
My fucking god.
Yeah.
Put them off into farther corners of the internet where they become more radicalized. And that's why a more honest, transparent conversation and dialogue where we're able to have actual clarity.
This argument that relegating radical bullshit to far corners of the internet where people get radicalized further and that's a bad thing is bullshit, okay? Like, Nick Fuentes not having any access to the YouTube algorithm is the best thing possible, okay?
You do not hear about Truth Social.
You don't
really hear about Truth Social posts.
You just don't hear about it, yeah. It's like the only person who you do hear about it from occasionally is Trump, and he's mostly been like, you don't really hear much about Trump since he moved there.
Yeah.
Like, the more you relegate these conservatives to their niche little corners of the internet, yes, it does trap those that they've already convinced into a bubble that they're unlikely to get out of, or more so unlikely to get out of, but it massively, if not completely, cuts down on their ability to radicalize and bring in new people, which is really what I care about the most, stemming the flow of new people coming in, not like ensuring that at some point maybe the people going into that content find their way out. Because, trust me, bro, I guess, is your explanation.
On the issues and actually fix the wrongs and actually discuss the problems actually helps fix the larger issues that we're dealing with,
Yeah, but
rather
again,
than
what is the
censoring them.
enforcement mechanism? How do you keep Twitter from banning people that you don't want banned? What do you think should be done?
I think Minds is doing a great job. I think the way that Minds conducts itself,
Are we
I
up here
think the
talking
way
about
that,
what to do about other
I
social
think the way
media?
that
I get it.
they
You're
decide
asking,
these decisions is
you're
a great
asking
way
how
to
do we
address
do
it.
that? I mean, I think as a population, we have big corporations, we have think tanks, we have so-called fact-checking groups pressuring Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and Google and all its subsidiaries.
My favorite thing ever is that these conservative events that are all about like platforming censored figures are all people that are like just the biggest pieces of shit. Like Alex Jones is a perfect like figurehead for this event. Like obviously like, you know, you've got the lefty figures there that are, I mean, okay in relative to these people, but like most of the people who show up are like right-wing conservatives who have just the most horrific skeletons in their closet. You know, and it's like, oh, so these are the people being silenced? Okay. I think the silencing is probably good then. I disagree, Xanderhal. It's better we create systems that limit their spread of hate, and the only way to do that is to be in control of what they see and not leave it up to the hate groups in question. Are they disagreeing with me?
I'm a little lost.
Yeah, I think you completely misunderstand me, Remy Starlight. We don't disagree.
To censor. And I think as a population, we reject and we boycott and we stand against censors and we promote the platforms that are open and free. And then, again, just 5-10 years ago, if a conservative got censored, the left was against it. If the left got censored, the right was against it. We have to go back to being unified and saying our speech is king, our right to see and watch and listen to what we want is paramount, because you're not censoring Alex Jones, or you're not censoring Luke Radowski, or you're not censoring Jack Posobiec.
He's so mad that he's legally been found to be a liar.
Yeah.
That also happened, by the way, it's not even just that, because that also happened to Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson's legal defense in court for the lies that he said on his show
not news.
was that, no, it was quote unquote, you literally can't take anything he says seriously. It's a it is a performative show. It is not meant to be taken as serious news or political commentary.
And the defense was basically, we do not believe it's possible to take this serious if you are in like the right mind, essentially.
Yeah, so they literally, their argument was you have to be insane to take or to take Tucker Carlson seriously. And then Alex Jones tried that defense and failed. Wild.
Or you're not censoring Tucker Carlson or Naomi Wolf or whoever it is. When you censor them, you're censoring our ability to hear what they're saying.
But you're also censoring anyone else who might speak up. So that's a big thing too. I mean, a liberal value, a very classical liberal value, was that even if you disagree with someone's speech, you'll defend their right to express themselves. And that's a value that we need as Americans, and that's a value that we need online.
So classical liberal on the internet means conservative who's too much of a pussy to identify as a conservative because they need to have a centrist and liberal-leaning like demographic pool. So that said, you'll usually find like conservative demagogue women saying this because it's easier to pass off what they say as being more liberal-leaning because they are a woman. Like people just perceive things woman says must be more progressive, right? It's sexism, but you know, it exists. Sargon did it too. He was too much of a pussy to just come out as a conservative, and now he's doing like white nationalist posting. Anyway, basically this idea that the unpopular speech is what needs to be protected most has some merit to it, depending on the context, right? The reason why that particular clause has been said so often is because the idea that unpopular speech is where cutting down on freedom of speech would start, and where precedents for cutting down on people's First Amendment rights would start, right? So the idea is that unpopular speech needs to be protected paramount. Otherwise, you know, if you see the line there, then the line can keep moving. You can never let the line budge, is the argument. Here's the thing, though. Conservatives are arguing from a completely false premise. Platforms like Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. are private platforms. They want to make money. And if what makes them money is not platforming hate speech, then they're not going to platform hate speech. They're private corporations who have the right to determine what speech is allowed on their platform, just as a private building is allowed to determine whether or not you're allowed to be inside screaming the N-word. You're allowed to scream the N-word, you're just not allowed to do it inside of someone's home. You're not allowed to do it inside of someone's store, or inside of a government building when they ask you to leave.
Or to personally walk up to someone and do it to harass them, because at that point
because
your words aren't the crime.
Your
it's the
rights,
harassment that is.
your right to swing your fist ends where my nose begins, you know? Like that kind of thing.
Exactly.
The problem is, of course, sorry, I didn't mean to resume very quickly. The problem, though, Zant, sorry, I'm reading the chat. The problem, though, is that people like this try to argue that that standard is valid in the vast majority of cases. And they'll basically use it as a go-to defense for hate speech, right? Like, you'll have Nick Fuentes, a very influential Nazi, who arguably is like, his whole thing is trying to rally Zoomers to Nazism so that they can, like, engage in violence. She would argue that he should have a platform because, well, if you take his platform away, then you have no, then where does the line go? And I agree with I don't think the government should come and, like, arrest Nick Fuentes because he does dumb Nazi memes online. I don't know if he's explicitly called for violence, like, clearly enough that I think he should be legally, like, you know, prosecuted. He should have the right to say the shit that he's saying. But if individual private platforms want to deplatform him, that is their right. It's literally always just excuses to defend Nazis. And also, I even kind of believe in the argument of the paradox of tolerance. The whole idea in America is that we have absolutist freedom of speech, right? The idea is that anybody can express their opinion to convince people of a certain value, right? The problem is, what if somebody comes along and makes the idea of destroying freedom of speech really popular? That's what conservatives are essentially arguing is
possible. The solution to the paradox of tolerance is really easy. The paradox in tolerance in of itself is...
Well, can you explain it? Because the chat might not know.
The paradox of tolerance is that if you do not tolerate intolerance, you yourself have become intolerant. And that fundamentally misses what tolerance is to begin with. Tolerance is not like a set rule you have to yourself. Tolerance is a social contract. You tolerate each other. You cannot tolerate another person if there are no other people. It is inherently something that has to be agreed upon by those around you, right? So if you have come into this society where everyone has agreed we don't yell the hard R at each other. That's a part of our social contract, right?
Generally, depends on where you are.
Generally, yeah. If you walk into an area where that is the social contract, everyone agrees that is bad, okay, and you come in and you say, you yell the N-word. Well, shit, you've violated our social contract. Now, do you think we are wrong if we like kick you out for that? I probably shouldn't have used saying the N-word as the example because it has to be something that the defenders do back. Let's say that you're rude to us, okay? And that's just not okay. You're not allowed to be rude at all in this group. And we are rude to you as we kick you out. Are we hypocrites? Are we violating our own contract that we've made? No, because by violating...
You call them the N-word as you kick them out.
By violating the contract of tolerance, you have outlawed yourself in terms of tolerance. You are no longer bound by that contract either. If you're not a part of that contract and you're not adhering by it, why are we going to adhere by it for you? It's a treaty.
Yeah.
Remember when the liberals and the Jewish law firms used to support the KKK march?
The what? He slipped that in there. Tell me about those law firms really quickly.
I think he meant those law firms. I don't think he meant to sneak in Jewish. I don't think he meant to say that. I think
just
that rolled.
My phone by accident.
I think it rolled off, and he just had to go with it. You know. You could see this guy here is like,
holy, you just dropped the whole thing.
I mean, those.
Oh, look at her.
Oh, he's stuttering. No, play it.
Exactly. Remember when the liberals and the Jewish law firms used to support the KKK marching? I mean, those liberal law firms.
There was a Murder, She Wrote.
Holy those liberal law firms. Holy shit. He couldn't hold it back.
He couldn't hold it. He couldn't hold it in.
Anyways.
He couldn't hold it in for how long has he been on? He got it at the 12-minute mark, and it's the 16
He made it
minute
4
mark.
minutes.
He made it 4 minutes,
Holy
dude.
fuck.
He made it 4 fucking minutes, bro.
I'm fucking done holding my phone. I keep dropping.
Absolutely. I mean, they didn't support the idiot KKK, but they said we got to let these morons march or we lose all our rights, which was true.
You know,
And it's true now on Twitter.
It is.
I think sometimes there's a responsibility for the authority to crack down if like child porn goes up. Like the admin has to take that offline. That means needs to be some central authority needs to snag that.
Well, it's illegal.
Exactly. And
When the conservative accidentally admits that when he says liberal, he means Jewish. Now go ahead and plug Jewish into every insult where Alex Jones has used liberal, and you understand what he means.
Wow. I'm just kind of taken back from that one. That's
You hear me talk about how evil and like demonic and out and just like you hear me rant about conservatives off stream all the time.
Yeah.
Watching me on my being on my stream, have you started to see what I mean?
I mean, I've always seen it with shit like, this is the planet Earth, you are not X-Men type rants, but like I don't think I've looked into Jones much outside of his like psychotic rants, so I never thought he would try and fail to be subtle with it. That's just that's impressive.
These people are genuinely just evil. They are demons.
Well, and keep in mind when they say liberal, woke, globalist,
They mean Jewish.
They mean
They've
Jewish.
always meant Jewish.
Or
okay?
sometimes the hard R. Sometimes
they
it's a
mean
little
black.
lazy.
Yeah, they basically mean minority.
spam. It's not illegal, but it's unethical. So some central authority's got to crack it. But it's
But
not
what's central authority when the FBI has been uploading a lot of the content as
Yeah,
well,
what do we
and
think
they've been running
Alex Jones
international
means when he says
trafficking
globalist?
operations like with Epstein for over 30 plus years? How
That's
do
a
you
good-
trust those same people to actually monitor?
I like Alex Jones' face, and they brought up Epstein. Like, I got shot.
Wait, so is the point the guy's making here, how can you trust a central power because they are also pedophiles? Which side is this guy on?
I don't know. All I know is Alex Jones is probably about to start talking about Epstein, and my favorite thing about that is a clip from the Joe Rogan Experience where Alex Jones is on. It was an unironic, rare Joe Rogan W, okay? Where Alex Jones starts talking about the Epstein thing, and Alex Jones is like, now listen, I read the documents. And Joe Rogan's like, really? Where'd you read them? And he's like, I read them, okay? I just know that I read them. And he's like, no, I want to see them too. Where'd you read them? And Alex Jones is like, no, I'm just saying, just trust me. I've read them. I don't know where at the moment. I'm just saying. He's like, seriously, I don't want to let you continue unless you like tell me where you read the documents. And like it goes on for another 2 minutes, and Joe Rogan doesn't let him continue because Alex Jones just keeps vaguely saying, I've read the documents, and then tries to go on to accuse a bunch of people of being on the Epstein like flight list.
Source, trust me, bro.
Yeah, like that's literally the kind of shit that Alex Jones does. That's why he's so invested in protecting
Alex
free
Jones feels
speech.
like another one of the another Trump type, where it's another fucking man-child who aligns with the average Republican voter that the others around him, the grifters around him, have to tolerate because he's the only one who can do it convincingly because he's actually fucking insane.
And we know he wasn't like this when he was younger. This is a character he plays.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke Radowski's
He is
right.
insane, but he is playing a character.
How do we have the FBI that protected Epstein now being the policeman of child porn? I mean, I really think it's all up to us.
Yeah, I think it doesn't scale. That's what I was going to say. Is the central authority crackdown method doesn't scale to the masses like Twitter because it's too big for one guy to take control, whether that's the government or the head of state. So I think you need to decentralize the.
Wait, literally, Twitter has been taken control of by one guy. That's literally what has happened.
Authority somehow as the system grows, and if that could be written into the system.
They just keep doing everything they accuse the left of doing. Like, every time they accuse the left of doing something that's, like, really bad, get scared, because that's what they're currently planning. They're not original. All they can do is just lob their plans at the left as accusations. Every right-wing accusation is a confession.
Or the larger it gets, the wider the net of judges that can make the decision in aggregation.
Well, remember Elon Musk, like last week, that viral BBC clip? And he goes, okay, give me one example of what you're saying. He goes, well, it's a little bit mean or it's a little bit sexist. And he said, well, then how do you define what a little bit is? Soon everything is banned except what you want to be heard. I mean, it's impossible. And here's the thing. We all know this. You all know this. I remember Joe Rogan in like 2000 in Houston, and I'm watching him in a packed comedy club, and he said, "Mark my words, within 10 years, Hollywood and corporate media are going to be dead, because on the internet there's so many voices, so many choices."
That quote didn't age well. What
Yeah.
was 2012? Hollywood and corporate media is dead? Hollywood and corporate media aren't dead now.
Yeah, they just adapted to the internet.
They're literally just adapting to the
only thing
internet.
that really died was like cable.
Yeah, cable's kind of dying, but even that's still around because Fox News is still like huge.
Cable has survived solely off of like
Booming.
signing for internet. That's what it is.
Yeah, and also like people leave their TV on for their dog. People like I think there's always going to be people with their TV on. I think it's a matter of like really the boomers, like my mom's generation is going to be the boomers that watch TV, and then like my generation and younger are all going to have smart TVs with streaming services with on demand, like whatever they want to watch on there. They might even like adapt the concept of television stations onto that. Like certain streaming services will have a live television station that's randomly playing stuff.
Yeah, I mean that with a live chat would actually kind of fuck.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, just like that's literally a thing like people on Twitch will do, where they just illegally live stream a movie. I literally watched Return of the King with a Twitch chat, and when they destroyed the ring, everyone in the chat, like everyone reacts like it's their first time watching it. So they queue up their emote to react to a certain thing, and the whole chat unanimously reacts to a scene with the same emote. It's like the second that Theoden yells death, the entire chat lights up with like at the speed of light with let's fucking go emotes. It's really good.
God.
That was fun.
I actually wonder like why doesn't Netflix have comments? Like all the shit I pirate on, I love reading the comments under it for each episode. Why the fuck doesn't Netflix have comments?
It would be nice. It would be really, really nice. It would probably keep people like scrolling through the comments while a show plays for a while too.
Yeah.
It can never.
I'm so sad I didn't get to see any of the Lord of the Rings movies in theaters because I was too young. The last one came out when I was 4, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't like I got into Lord of the Rings when I was 6, 5 or 6, and the movies were all out, which was nice because I didn't have to wait for them to come. I did kind of though, because here's the thing, I had a VHS and I had Fellowship of the Ring and then eventually Two Towers on VHS. But I only had a copy of Return of the King in a two-part DVD set. So I had to go with my grandma to the flea market and save up money for a DVD player. And then I got a nice cheap DVD player, just one that would get the job done. And then I was finally able to watch Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King. It was good. It was a fun time.
Compete with that level of Wild West freedom. And if you go back to 2010 and the numbers, that's really when corporate media died. That's really when Hollywood died. It's got endless funding and backers, but it's a zombie organization. It's already.
I like how he's already JQ'd and he's just trying to like keep it going from there,
Yeah. I wonder what fucking like Destiny's thinking right now. Like, do I call him on the JQ he just pulled?
I think he just let it hang. Just let it hang. They do have theaters that re-show movies like the original Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and stuff. Would you want to go see the Lord of the Rings in theaters?
If we had more time, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, like if that was like at some point in the future, yeah.
A theater near my house is doing like a Ghibli thing where every weekend they roll Ghibli films.
Mhm.
And I really want to take my girlfriend to it. It seems nice.
At the end of the stream, we got to tell chat about the next year vacation plan.
Okay.
Because we know where we're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We got to build the group now. We got to figure out who's going to be going and just plan it out very far ahead of time.
Oh, I forgot to give that rant. We'll have to give it after this.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll watch the end of this segment because it's about Alex. This is the part where Alex Jones crashes it, and I don't want to watch the whole thing on here because we don't have time.
Gone. So any attempt to bring in AI, any attempt to suppress us, any attempt to shut down their competition is like a ghost dance. They're fighting a war they've already lost. So let's understand that. No amount of AI, no amount of BS is going to stop us because AI is just plagiarism of everything we already made. So we program the AI ourselves. So when the viewers and listeners of this show realize you're not the tail, you're the dog, and that when you produce culture and you speak up.
Alex Jones is very good at speaking to dumb people who feel like they've got it all figured out.
Like, he's not saying anything right now. Like, but I'm sure that like some loser stoner dude at home who's listening in, he's like, whoa.
I'm stoned as fuck right now, and it's still not making sense to me. And I like to like seek out Joe Rogan and watch his interviews with like astrophysicists and shit, and get real stoned and just watch that shit. Because like these astrophysicists, when Joe Rogan asks a super complicated question, they have to dumb it down to the extent of explaining it to an ape. So it's like, all right, I understand why black holes exist now.
God.
Why are you playing with scissors?
Hey, listen. I grab whatever I can near me. Sorry.
I've got random shit on my desk, and he just randomly here. I've got a fidget spinner.
You got some stuff on your desk. I think if I hold up to the camera, I've committed a felony.
Yeah. Here you
There
go.
you go. The dragon we found.
People are gonna think that like I have like guns and shit now. Why would you say it like that?
It's funnier like that.
It's my weed vape.
That's your defense mechanism to make sure you program the system.
Steven.
I like how people in the audience are unironically clapping.
They just hear a dude who's talking. No, they probably know who he is, actually.
Well, yeah, they do, but like they're unironically like. There's just still people who love Alex Jones. Is still wild to me. Like they believe and agree with what he says. God, what do you think of that?
Gotta filter my thoughts real quick.
Bro, JQ.
I think debate is very important, right? However, when debate fails, I think the next step is what needs to be taken. That's all. That's what I'll leave it at.
Yeah. Okay, so I really don't think there's anything else to be said about that.
He just walked up on stage and said, "I hate the Jews."
He just materialized and just said Jewish law firms, and he left.
Dusty didn't have to say anything else.
Dusty didn't say anything to win. He just like 4 minutes, and Alex Jones was talking about Jewish law firms.
Wow.
Man, that lawsuit must have really thrown him off.
That's gotta. I'm surprised he's here actually after that lawsuit.
I don't think he is here mentally.
Yeah.